If these stories are available everywhere, but because of the agenda of division, the agenda of hatred, this and that, people would rather push the ones that comes back and said, oh, when I got to this village, they hated me because I'm not Igbo. The way they treated me, I had to move to another village where they now accepted me. But when you move to another village where you got accepted, right? That story doesn't sell. It is the story of where you are not treated fine. That one sells better in Nigeria. So it is an agenda. So when somebody like Ruben Akpati goes on this big platform to push that kind of narrative, just know that it is an agenda. Majority of those who are going to push them, number one, they don't live in the East. They don't have any plan of investing in the East. Some of them don't even have money to buy any land. But because they've heard it before, it must be true. So let's just push it. An agenda. Well, maybe platforms like this will continue to give a lot of you the benefit of the doubt, where people can share their own personal stories of what it was like, or what you heard about the Yorubas, or what you have heard about the Igbos, and what is your personal experience too. Here, hello.
Hello, my good general.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am very well too. Thanks so much for asking. Please.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's kind of nice for me to call back.
It's such a pleasure.
This is John. Yeah, this is Johnson. I'm calling from Utah.
Johnson, I remember you. Man, there's so many of you who have turned to, you used to be regular callers, but you have all turned to the silent watchers these days. It's good to hear from you, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, you're right. That was like, it's good to give other people the chance to, call in.
Thank you.
And the rest, yeah.
You have a good one, Baba.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for it.
Okay, my good. So I think let me see if I can be a little bit precise, because while you were talking about Ruben Abati's story, I was just laughing my heart out, because I had a friend that was during the last charade election they did in Nigeria. So this my friend, he's Tinubu supporter. He was like saying the same narrative that Igbos doesn't sell land and everything. And I told him my own personal experience, because I bought a land in my hometown. That was like 2 years ago. And I bought like 2 plots of land. And those 2 plots of land, I bought them for 8 million. That was like 4 million for a plot of land. This is like in my home village, right? So very expensive. And if you remember my history, I told you I was born and brought up in the north. So my brother was even asking me, he was like, that amount I'm using to buy that land, that he will use that amount to buy a much bigger land for me in Abuja, but I was like, I don't want to do with anything northern again, I'm just buying that land because I wanted to have like a structure in my village, So this, my friend, when he was saying the same narrative, I told him, I was like, if you are interested, right, I have this land, I'm going to sell this land for you. In fact, I'm going to sell it to you the amount I bought it from, exactly the same amount. I'm not adding anything.
No extra.
No interest. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you realize that he's actually not interested in buying land. He's just interested in
He doesn't even have the money. He can't even afford it.
See?
He can't even afford it. So basically, I think you are perfectly right. A lot of those people that make those assumptions, they are the actual people that don't even have the money to buy the land.
No.
This is a capitalist society, just like the previous caller said. A lot of people have different issues. If you have the money to buy land, you can buy land in anywhere in Nigeria. You can get the land.
God bless you.
Yeah. It might be expensive, right? Like, for example, my land, I said I bought it for 4 million for a plot of land, 2 plots of land, 8 million.
About 14, 15 million today, and that's going to be you being nice. Anyway.
Yes. And can you imagine, like, for example, the way I am, someone came and said, okay, I'm going to pay you 20 million for those land. I was okay, go ahead, take the land.
Where is the cash? Show me the cash.
Yeah,
I'll give you the land document right now, right here.
I'll give you the land document. I knew a guy in Lagos that time, the Abiola children. This guy owned a hospital. and he wanted to buy, that was in Ikeja.
Right.
He wanted to buy the land of Abiola. The children doesn't want to sell that land to him. You know what that guy did?
What?
He gave them a blank check. He was like, just
Right,
pick
whatever
any
you want.
amount you want. Yes. And they sold that land to him because they saw a blank check.
See?
You know?
So we have all this agenda everywhere. And I tell you this,
Everywhere.
you know, I'm glad that a
Yeah.
lot of people actually knows this, okay?
Yeah.
All these people pushing this agenda, they are primarily, number one, to continue to push the old narrative, which somehow, when you keep renewing it and renewing it every year, okay, it still serves the same purpose. The reason why we don't like the Igbos, or the reason why you shouldn't like the Igbos. Oh, they won't sell your land to you. Do you have money to buy land? Are you interested in buying? No, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Then why did you just say that then?
Yeah,
somebody told me that. I've heard it years ago. Really? It's always an agenda, man. Agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Because on the one hand, they will say Igbos like money. They say Igbos love money. But when it comes to land, they believe Igbos don't love money enough to be able to sell land. You know, it doesn't make sense. You know,
it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
You
Thank you so much.
You can get you can get any land in Igbo land, but that might be expensive. Yeah, but if you have the money, you can get any land you want to.
Anywhere. And I've said that as well on this platform, that the reason why land is expensive in Igbo land is because they don't have many of it. Nigeria has already stolen a lot of it from them by cutting them off and cutting them into size. So whatever the space they have, right, you must have enough money to buy it. That you can't find land to buy, that is not true.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Thank you so much, Johnson. Okay, stay safe.
Yeah,
my regards to everyone. Okay.
Yeah, keep on doing the good work you're doing, Mayegu. I appreciate what you're doing. In fact, all whatever you said today, I 100% agree to it. Even with regards to Simon Ekpa, 100% agree with you. Just to put that out. Yeah.
Johnson, bless you. Yeah. You see, we don't really have to agree on everything. So disagree is also very much welcome on Mayegun's Diary Political. It is only people with low mentality, right, that will resort into abusing or attacking the person you disagree with. And the abuse is like, you are Ponja, you are jealous, you are Ashewo, you are Akuna, you are this and that. It is this is actually the symptom of people with low mentality who can't really engage in any sensible conversation. So let's put that out there as well. So if you are that kind of a person, you need to work on yourself. Seriously. Here is another caller. I believe IK. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. My name is Joseph, and I'm calling from Norway.
Sir Joseph from Norway.
Yes.
You must be a first-time caller. The way you sound.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Yes. I'm good, sir.
Right.
It's a pleasure talking to you today.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for calling in. Please.
Yeah, I just want to hit on 3 points.
Go ahead.
One is that about land in Igbo land, we have commercial land and we have land that we inherit, which is inherited lands, which we don't sell. So any other land, we sell that. That is one of the points. The second thing is that people are talking of one guy that called from America that said that he's a medical doctor. He said Nigeria have expired his toxins, that is that. Yes, I quite agree with him. Right. But when he's talking about people using arms in any direction to kill one another, I agree with him. But he never mentioned the other department of arms, people trying to defend themselves when people are killing them with arms. That is second point. Then the third point is that when people come out to say things about them becoming more Nigeria than others, you cannot be putting hope on something that have been expired or things you have experimented for years and is not working. So if you consistently trying to force it to work, and when people are talking about I want this, I want that, and you are getting old, and the old people who are no more industrious, are no more having hope to continue their life, they want to destroy the whole thing by making it, oh, I have not been privileged, and let it continue that way. That's all I want to say. Let people know that
people like that are part of the problem. I think under your last point, they are part of the main problem we have as well. Okay, normally when people get older, it should be a time for them to reflect on life generally, the one they have lived and the one they probably missed out on. So if they now, I mean, it's actually around the time when people begin to get closer, to the end of their lives. So if you look around and you look back and you're like, there's been so much that could have been done in this society, but over the time, it's never done. And the younger generation have been denying this opportunity. So it would be ideal for the older generation to support the yearning and aspiration of the younger ones who don't want to end up like them. So and some of them don't see it that way, right? But
yeah, I quite agree with you. But let me chip on something
quickly.
You say that in Nigeria,
Yep.
They remove history in our school curriculum.
Fortunately.
And from most of us that are old, what we are taught is that Nigeria have 3 major tribes.
That's right.
And since the history of Nigeria now, the 3 major tribes are not playing major role in Nigeria
anymore. In fact, they have
not been allowed even from before Nigeria independence. When Nigeria joined together, they forced it that people who are not indigenous people of Nigeria start playing major role in Nigeria. And people refuse to acknowledge that. And we continue following it and it's continue going. Where are we going to? Which way, Nigeria? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. So I don't know, but one day it will come to an end.
No, it's
nothing lasts forever.
It's almost ending now. It is almost, because we have a younger generation that is no longer patient, right? They may say we are impatient because we are worried that we have limited time on our hands. This contraption is not working, indeed. And
yes,
if something is not done now, well, Sir Joseph, thank you so much, sir. Okay, for calling.
Thank you, General. I appreciate. It's nice talking to you. It's a big privilege. Keep on going.
It's mine. Thanks. Have a good one, sir. Okay. God bless you. See, I believe that, like one of my callers said yesterday, that we don't really have to agree on the same pattern on what we think can lead to the liberation of ourselves and our people. And I agree with that too, that we don't all have to agree to one concept. You can move from the left. You can move from the left. I can move from the right. Others can move from above. Others can go underground. At the end of the day, the common goal is possibly to change the status quo. And changing the status quo, right, may take all kind of dimension. I agree. But any of them that is in a way to shed the blood of the vulnerable people, our people have been through a lot already. You get, it's something that I am totally indisposed to, like I do not feel comfortable with. And there is no explanation you can give to me on that. I would disagree. Even if you would disagree with my own approach of solitude or so, right? I still strongly believe that the people's will, if it is well maintained, is more powerful than that barrel of gun. Because you see, the people with a strong will, enlightened enough to know what they are actually fighting for. You see, holding that barrel of gun will have more value, right, than people who are angry enough to just want out. At the end of the day, it could totally be a misplaced priority that will claim more souls than necessary. But yeah, I have another caller on the line. I believe. Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Yes, sir. Chim.
This is
How do I call you,
Odogu
Chim
again.
Amanda or what?
Yes, this is Odogu.
Hey, Odogu, I bet you will need to change that name under your what I feel. It keeps misleading me somehow. But yeah, Odogu, it's really good to hear from you again. You are up early.
Thank you, sir. I just want to just register my concern.
Please.
Despite whatever that is going on in Nigeria, you see where the trajectory is going. Nobody is looking at the pains and all the horrors that an average Nigerian is suffering under the hands of this zoo. Nobody is ever talking about that anymore. This is why it's very difficult to come out to save Nigerians. This is why it's very difficult to think about helping Nigerians. I'm not saying Simon Ekpa is perfect. There are things he does that some of us don't like.
I agree with
but
as well.
Why? Yes. Why did he pick up arms? This is the question. He wasn't the first person who picked up arms. Remember, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, called for that situation because of what was happening in the southeast. Few days ago, we heard that the Nigerian military bombed. They said mistakenly, and we know that this is not the seventh time that such thing has happened.
Yep.
Correct. And we know about what happened also at the Shiroro Dam. The reason why we are having power grid failure is because terrorists are camping at that area, and they used power grid as a means to get ransom. So anytime they need money, they turn off the light, and then until Nigerian government pays them, then they turn off the light. So that is another way to seize some of our national assets to use it to make milk Nigeria. Now, looking at the general picture, if you're in a marriage and for 60 plus years that marriage is not working, is it not a good time for people to say, man, let's go our separate ways? Why is it giving Nigerian government a nightmare in this age? Because Simon Ekpa may be taken out, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu may be taken out. More people are getting aware of what is going on, and this is not going to stop.
It won't.
So the earlier this generation, because if you look at the generation doing this, these are the generation that benefited from Nigeria.
I know.
It is not the kind of generation that are suffering. These are the generation that Nigeria gave everything to spend to train them overseas, and they are the generation that are doing this.
I know.
I'm calling on every Nigerian.
Quickly, before you continue.
Go ahead.
Right? You see, somehow, as I personally say, I don't support violence, right? It's because openly like this, I can't advocate for it, right? But
yes,
if to say those who have the privilege of picking up arms, for example, right? They now went after, let's say, every government house in I'm just using that as an example. Every government house in Eastern Nigeria has become almost a ghost town or a ghost place for these criminal politicians who are sponsoring Ebobiagu, they're sponsoring this unknown gunmen, sponsoring other armed groups that are unleashing terror on the people of Eastern Nigeria, right? If successfully, right, they turned all those their government houses to places that they themselves don't feel safe in anymore. Do you know that some people won't raise any wimp?
True.
Do you get that now? You see, a lot of people got so shocked when we watch videos of civilians. And we know, like I said yesterday, there are those who love easily to want to rub a bit of a denial over it by saying, no, it was done by us. Okay, if this was done by Asari, done by unknown this and that, it is not in the place of Simon to be publishing and promoting that and, revving in that. That is sending a totally wrong message to others. Some people may love it too. Then somebody called me on this program last night and said, well, they were warned. They didn't listen. I was like, okay, now, did you listen to yourself? I am fighting for the freedom of my people from those who have militarily occupied our land. And because I told them to stay at home and they are not staying, that is why we shot at them and burned their cars. How does that sound to you? Does that mean that if we have this Biafra, right, if I disobey the supreme leader, Does that mean a death sentence? He said, yes. That's not right, Odogu. That can be the Biafra people like yourself want. Because at the end of the day, right, it's going to be from frying pan to fire. Don't you think?
Absolutely. You are right. We share